Hello, hello, my lovely lovelies. I am making a part 2 of the video that I just recently posted on how to make mini handmade roses. The reason why I'm making a part 2 is because I did go back and review the video, and it did show me actually being out of frame. I'm actually just getting adjusted as to this new webcam that I just purchased not too long ago, and I am very, very sorry, but I have to go ahead and make a part 2. Now the part 2 is gonna be short. I'm not going to make it as long as the first one, as part 1. So please feel free to check out part 1 just in case there is content in there that I may not be covering on part 2. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly go back and show some of the items that I will be using. Some of the items that I will be showing in part 2 I did not show in part 1, just because I'm using a different color rose petals, rose flowers, and so forth. So I'm going to be using some distress inks and the ink blending tool. I'm going to need some type of clippers or scissors, something to cut the wire that I'll be using. This is 26 gauge wire. I'm going to be using a pokey tool, and I'm going to be using a skewer. This is the EK Success 1-inch punch for these flowers here. Now, and this is optional. This is a bone folder. Oh, and I will be using a glue gun, and that's about it. I will not be utilizing this foam for the molding of the rose petals for this type of flower. I just bring this out because usually when I make my flowers I bring this tray out. But okay, so what was I saying? So I'm going to be making these this one rose. I'm going to start off by stacking the rose petals, or I'm sorry, the flowers together. I'm going to grab my pokey tool, and I'm going to poke a hole in the center. Now I want to make sure that the hole is completely even on all flowers, and it is. Okay, now the next step is, I do notice that these flowers are not inked on the back, so that's where I'm going to bring in my distress inks, and I'm going to choose a fairly similar color to the one that I have on the front of the flower. So very carelessly, I'm just going to dab some color. I just don't want any white to show. Now the flowers don't look bad when you have some white showing on the petals, but I personally prefer for there to be color all around the flower. Okay, so we're done with that. Putting that away. Now, real quickly, I should have done this in the beginning. I just want to go ahead and recap on the flower that I'm going to be making. It is this little mini rose flower. I have made them in various colors. And I absolutely love them, you guys. I love them, love them, love them. And in part 1, I actually did mention that I'm going to be showing a different tutorial on how to make these other roses. And so let's get going with this. We're going to continue. So now we have our inked petals. And I am... Okay. For this flower, I actually do need to stack them back up again. I'm going to use the skewer. And I'm going to place the skewer on the center of a petal and bend. And do the same on the next one, bend. Do the same one on the next one, bend. Same on the next, bend. Same on the next, and bend. And this is what it will look like. Now you can pinch just to make sure that the flower is how we want it. And now we're going to separate the petals. I'm going to bring in this gauge, 26 gauge wire, and I'm actually going to pick this side. No, this side. It has to be this side because of the way that the petals are actually bent. So the wire has to come out of the hole just a pinch. Let me see how I can allow you guys to see this. It has to be just a pinch. How can I make this more visible for you guys? Let me see. Okay. So the tip of the wire has to come out of the hole far enough, but not too far to where it goes too far into the petal, if that makes any sense. So what you don't want is for the wire to be too far out to where you can't bend the petal. I mean, this is flexible wire. You can still bend the petal, but me personally, I try to limit myself from having it go too far out. I'm going to, there's some buildup glue there. Had it warmed up for a little bit too long. So I'm going to apply some glue, and I'm going to hold for a second while it cools, just for a little bit. And then I want to apply my finger on the glue when I know approximately that the glue is going to be cool enough to not burn my finger. So I actually press down the glue so that it adheres everything in place. Now I'm going to grab 2 petals across from each other, and they have to be across from each other. They cannot be 2 petals next to one another, because the formation of the rosebud will not come out well. It will not come out good. So you want to apply glue on the side of the petal and somewhat inside in the middle of the petals, so that you're able to adhere the 2 points together. And this is what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to apply a tiny dot on the bottom, not the whole petal, but on the bottom of the petal, and I'm going to adhere that. And then I'm going to do the same with these other 2. You want to make sure that you do one at a time. You don't want to do them all together, You put one flap up followed by the next if you're going to apply adhesive or glue on 2 or 3 petals at a time. You do not still want to put them all up at the same time, one at a time. Okay, so now I have my rosebud, and here is my rosebud. Okay, so now I'm going to use scissors, clippers, anything you have in hand that will cut down your wire. And now you're going to grab the other flower, and you're going to stagger. You want these to be you want them to be out of you don't want them to be lined up, okay? You want them to be kind of out of okay, I don't know if you guys can see here, but you see points. The points, you want to have them in the middle of the flower, so that way that when you bring up the petals, they actually stack up. I'm sorry guys, I can't think of the word, and I use that word all the time, but you want them to be not aligned, because that's what's going to create the imperfection of the flower. No flower is perfect. Every flower has such beautiful uniqueness to it. Alright, so I'm holding it for just a quick second, waiting for all the petals to adhere. Okay, and you do it one more time with the last set of petals. You want it to be off center, so you then bring out, I like to work 2 to 3 petals at a time once I've already created the bud, because I already kind of have an idea of how much glue to apply on the tips of the rose. I don't want to squish the petals together. I don't want them to be glued, stuck together too far up against the previous petals, because that takes away from the look when it's time to actually mold and shape the petals at the end. You want to give them leeway, so some breathing area. There we go. There's a little bit of glue hairs here that really get on my nerves from the glue gun, but what are we gonna do? Okay, so here we are. I wish that the camera could catch this in frame. Maybe there's something I need to do for the auto adjustment of it. Okay, so we are done with that. Now the last part of shaping the flower is to, with your fingernail, bend carefully the tip, not the whole petal, but the tip. Let me take this tray, maybe it'll help with the autofocus. Okay, so you want to take each petal and bend it carefully, imperfectly. Don't try to do it perfectly. You know, some of the petals are going to be a little jagged, they're going to be a little unevenly bent, but that's perfectly fine. That makes the rose just all the more beautiful. So we're going to bend all the petals that you can possibly bend back. You not bending, but more so kind of you bend and you curl. That's what it is. You want to make sure that the petals curl, not just a straight bend. Now if that's all you can do based on the limited space you have because of the glue, like for instance this one, it's perfectly fine. But some of the petals do give you a little bit more leeway. And when it comes to the center of the bud, use your fingernail to kind of just press on the center, and that will create your flower. And I'm going to hope that this will help with the autofocus. Come on, camera. There we go. Can you guys see that? Okay. So that is how you make the mini flowers. Now if you want to go ahead and spruce it up a bit with some gold, or you know, anything else you might have in hand. This for instance is a metallic deco art. It's an actual wax based I don't know what I guess I call it a medium because I use this for my mixed media art. But if you want to go ahead and use that to kind of spruce up the tips and make them a little fancy, then you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back in place. Bring this flower back in so that you can see it better. Okay, it's not wanting to go in. Okay. I'm using this little pad because it seems to help with the autofocus. So there you go. Alright, and so that is how you make the mini roses. Now feel free to leave any comments, any suggestions, any ideas. I am open for anything. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.